Now, just a quick recap of what we did in the last class before we start with the new concept. So in the last class, we looked into how to design a fiber or the designer's parameters, like your numerical aperture, which was done in a previous class, and we used it to calculate, numerical aperture and relative refractive index to calculate the V number, which gives us how many modes that will be the guided modes in the fiber. Guided mode means the modes which have an energy that will be into the core and not into the cladding. That is, all the energy is inside and will be reaching the destination, because any energy that goes into the cladding may get lost and may not reach the destination. So mode was a number that gave us a count of how many signals basically you can couple into the cable and it will reach the destination. Definitely it relates with the capacity of a fiber to capture the signal, that is a numerical aperture. The relative refractive index difference, that is dependent upon the core refractive index and the cladding refractive index, the dimensions of the fiber, and of course the wavelength that is traveling through the fiber. That was a relation that we derived, and through this we also derived the number of modes that will be traveling. We did some numericals. Number of modes in a step index fiber, which is m is equal to v square by 2, and for the graded index fiber it was m square into alpha upon alpha plus 2, where alpha is a profile parameter and alpha is a profile parameter, and that depends upon what is a refractive index profile. That is, alpha is infinity for a step index fiber. It is 1 for a your triangular profile, and it is 2 for a parabolic profile, right? This is what I told you. So now we need to solve some more numericals on this topic. So you are given a step index fiber. You are given a multi-mode step index fiber with the dimensions are given, and the relative refractive index is also given as 1.5%. If the core relative refractive index is 1.48, estimate the normalized frequency and the number of guided modes. So first, start solving it. What is the formula that you will be using? V is equivalent to pi A by lambda into numerical aperture. और कुछ बच गया? Yeah, 2 pi A NA by VA. Okay. So tell me, what is your V number? That is a normalized frequency. कितना आ रहा है? Calculate करिए. You are given the core diameter, you are given the wavelength. Just substitute diameter, but A represents your radius, right? 50%, that is 40 micron. Quickly substitute and give me the value. And those who have finished can calculate M, which is V square by 2, since it's a step index fiber. Yeah, please give me the answers. Yeah, where V number is 75.79. Yeah, correct. 75.79. Then tell me what it is. What is your number of modes? Quickly tell me the number of modes. 2872. Okay, are you getting everyone these answers? Yes. Okay. Yes, everyone. Are you able to solve and get the answers? Good, Ria. Okay. Now, one more important parameter that we see, there is a dependence. That is, there is a dependence of V number on is the wavelength, right? So I'll just see, you have your V number, which is inversely proportional to the wavelength. Now, what does it say? That any mode that will have a particular wavelength will only be able to travel, not all the wavelengths will be able to travel. Right? So why do we say so? Because as I have given you in the last class that V number decides as how many modes can travel, and V equal to 2.405 is a condition for a single mode that can travel through a fiber. Okay, so single mode transmission, that is 2.405. So if I say that according to this equation, taking lambda or finding out the equation of the lambda, we get lambda. This is so lambda C corresponds to this, just a correction here. Lambda C corresponds to 2 pi a Na by Vc, where Vc is your cutoff for a say single mode. If I'm trying to, whichever mode, number of modes that you say, for that it will give you a cutoff wavelength. Now this cutoff wavelength is basically to tell you that all the wavelength, basically what will happen is, if I increase this V lambda, what will happen to V? Yes, if this is increased, yeah. If this is increased, what will happen is your V number will reduce, right? So if V number reduces, the number of modes also get reduced, because modes are directly proportional to V square by 2 or V square into alpha upon alpha by 2, depending upon the refractive index profile. So this, when we, through this equation, when we calculate the equation of lambda, what do we get is, it is inversely proportional to Vc. And for a limiting condition, that is, if I take a case of a single mode fiber, it will say that this is the cutoff wavelength, and it is defined as the largest wavelength at which the higher order mode power relative to a fundamental mode power will be able to basically pass through it, or will be reaching the destination. Okay, so if I make my wavelength larger than this particular value, so what will happen is, if the wavelength is increasing, your V is reducing, and hence the number of modes are reducing. So this will give us that any wavelength above this particular will not be able to pass through it, and it will be actually limiting it. Is it clear or not? Okay, now tell me that when V is equivalent to 2.405, okay, that's a condition for a single mode transmission. Okay, so when I say V is equivalent to 2.405, that is a cutoff condition, then the wavelength corresponding to it is called as a cutoff wavelength. Now, if V increases beyond 2.405, what will happen? If V increases beyond 2.405, it is no more a single mode fiber. If I just show you here, this will make you more clear to you. This diagram which I'm trying to show, so this is a diagram which shows us the relation between the number of modes, guided modes that can travel through a fiber with the varying normalized frequency. So till 2.405, what do you see is there is only one mode that can travel through it, that is HE11. Okay. As the value increases beyond 2.405, your mode TE01 comes, then TM01, then HE21, and so on. The modes keep on adding into it as we are increasing the V number. Okay, so when I say that you have a particular wavelength corresponding to a cutoff. You have a particular wavelength that is called as a cutoff wavelength corresponding to a condition for that a particular number of modes traveling through it. My question is, what does it mean? This wavelength is the highest wavelength or is it the lowest wavelength? If I increase my wavelength above that particular value, will it be supporting the same number of modes, or the wavelengths below that value will be supported by the fiber? Is my question clear? I'm trying to explain the concept of cutoff wavelength. So what is the cutoff wavelength? The cutoff wavelength is a limiting factor telling you the wavelengths corresponding to this value will only be able to travel through it. So I'm just trying to ask you, tell me, wavelengths below this or above this will be able to travel through your fiber? Tell me. अगर V number मेरा 2.405 है, corresponding to means values less than VC, yeah. Can anyone tell me? VC equal to 2.405 is a limiting condition for your single mode transmission. Beyond 2.405, your number of modes that can travel will no more be one, it will be more than one. So for single mode transmissions, your wavelengths should be less than this or larger than this cutoff wavelength corresponding to VC equal to 2.405. Is my question clear? I want you to answer me. What does this lambda C mean? Below cutoff. Why do you say below cutoff? Why do you say below cutoff? The wavelength should be below cutoff. Yeah, you can unmute and answer. You are saying that for single mode transmission, the wavelength should be less than the cutoff wavelength, that whatever you are getting, right? Yes? Yeah, Mohit,
Yes,
please answer.
yes,
Why do you say it should be less?
ma'am, there might be some limiting factor, ma'am. there might be a
No,
point of
it is mathematically that we have to tell. See, यहाँ पे क्या आपको दिख रहा है? VC is in the denominator. That the condition is V. मैंने आपको जो diagram दिखाया, that shows that when V is less than equal to 2.405, right? 2.405 is a condition for single. एक ही mode travel कर रहा है HE11 till your condition is this. So I can have the values of for single mode transmission. I can have the values of V less than 2.405 but not more than this. So this limiting value that I am showing is, अब मेरा क्या होगा? For single mode transmission I can have 2 also. Corresponding to 2, what will be the cutoff wavelength? Increased or decreased corresponding to 2.405. For single mode, it should be greater than cutoff. Correct. What is happening is, when you say 2.405 से अब मेरे कम किया, denominator कम किया ना मैंने, right? 2.405 की जगह मैं अगर 2 डालूं, right? This is again a condition for a single mode transmission. Are you getting, this point is clear? Am I able to explain you that what does a single mode transmission mean? Single mode transmission means there is a single mode traveling through it. For that, the condition is that V number should be less than equal to 2.405, right? So when I say 2.405, it's a boundary condition, and corresponding to that boundary condition, there is a wavelength. Now my question is, for single mode wave transmission, all the wavelengths greater than lambda c will be able to satisfy my condition, or less than lambda c will be able to satisfy my condition. Is my question clear? हाँ, अभी question clear है तो अभी मुझे बताओ 2.405 पे आपने एक lambda c निकाला. Now again I take any value which is less than 2.405. Now I take VC equal to 2. Corresponding to 2, this is say lambda c1, the cutoff wavelength 1. Now corresponding to VC equal to 2, there will be a lambda, say lambda C2. What will be the relation between lambda C1 and lambda C2? Will they be equal? Which one will be greater? Which one will be smaller? What relation do you say will exist? C1 will be greater than C2. Now please explain. डिनोमिनेटर कम हो रहा है तो क्वांटिटी बढ़ कैसे रही है तुम्हारी? सिंपल मैथ्स में पूछ रही हूं, आपका 2.4 से मैं 2 कर रही हूं, डिनोमिनेटर आई एम रिड्यूसिंग. हाँ, इट हैज टू बी रिवर्स. You are reducing your denominator, that is VC is reducing from 2.4 to 2, your value is increasing and still it is representing a condition of a single mode transmission, right? So what I'm trying to say is cutoff wavelength tells you that this is the frequency that is will be allowing, or below this there will be no single mode transmission, but above all the frequencies can be used for single mode transmission, right? That is why it is called as a cutoff. All the wavelengths greater than, or basically the wavelengths greater than equal to your cutoff wavelength condition corresponding to 2.405 will be or can be used to send for single mode transmission in an optical fiber of the given dimensions. Means whatever you are given a numerical aperture, the dimensions, and this relative refractive index you are given, for that particular case, there will be all the wavelengths corresponding to lambda c or greater than lambda c can only be used for single mode transmission. Am I clear? So, now let's solve this problem and find out, estimate the cutoff wavelength for a step index fiber in a single mode operation. Single mode operation directly tells you cutoff bhi bola hai, so that itself means that it is corresponding to a condition where your V number is equal to, although it may not be given to you in the problem, it means that it is equal to 2.405. Okay, corresponding to this value, get the value of lambda c. Nikali. Lambda c is equivalent to 2 pi a na. Na का फॉर्मूला यू नो. Na का फॉर्मूला क्या है? n1 root over 2 delta by b. Okay, tell me the value. When it is given in percentage, it means 0.25 divided by 100. That is the value that you need to take. Point 831 micrometers or 831 nanometers. Yeah, आ रहा है सबका? प्लीज. Yeah, Kirti, your answer is correct. 0.831 is not correct. Okay, so I hope the calculations are clear. Okay, so this is what I had shown you, that till 2.405 a single mode exists, and beyond that multiple modes, and that is why we have the condition for single mode transmission is for all the values of V less than equal to 2.405, you have a single mode only existing. Okay, so modes in the cylindrical fibers are your HE, linearly polarized components are there, and this is just to show you all the modes that are traveling. LP01 is a fundamental mode, and under single mode transmission, it is only the HP01 that is exist. HE11, that is LP01 is existing. Now coming to the next concept, that is a mode field diameter. Now what does a mode field diameter means? That whenever a mode or a signal is traveling through your fiber, there is an energy associated with it, and there is a spread of that energy into the core. So that spread, we call it as a mode field. That is, that much area is required for the energy associated with that particular mode to travel through your fiber. And what do we want is, we want that this energy should be concentrated into the core, then only it will guarantee that it will be reaching the destination. Correct? Now point is, if the number of modes keep on increasing, this mode field diameter keeps on broadening, and the energies associated with the mode start getting coupled into the cladding. And that is how we have seen, where we have seen when we started with the number of modes, how the energies are no more focused in near the axis of the core, but is spreading towards the cladding as you have more and more modes traveling through it. So mode field diameter defines as what is the minimum dimensions required for a particular mode to travel through it, through a fiber, where all the energies will be focused inside the core only and will not be getting coupled into the cladding. So the mode field diameter is actually talking about the propagation constant and the energies associated with the mode traveling through it, that will be actually deciding your mode field diameter. Okay, so there are certain techniques to keep the energies, although with an increasing mode, keeping the energy focused into the core by not keeping your cladding refractive index like this used to be a normal pattern. If I say for a cladding refractive, this is the cladding, then there is a core with a different refractive index. Instead of having this pattern, we have varying refractive index pattern which help us to keep the energies. This pattern actually, it's like creating multiple walls of refractive index variation, which helps to keep the energies focused inside the core rather than, means every time it is moving from one refractive index to the other, there will be a bending. So what I'm trying to say is, because of this change in the refractive index, you can actually, with the given dimensions of your fiber, basically when you are saying you have a single mode fibers, the dimensions are reducing. So because of which the energies get, as for the smaller dimensions, the energies may get more towards the cladding and the core interface, and there could be the chances of it getting coupled into the cladding. So that can be avoided by not just keeping a uniform refractive index profile of the cladding, but this kind of refractive index profile help us to actually, because of the bending phenomena, help us to focus the energy inside the core. So So this diagram is just to show you the field and its distribution with respect to the dimensions of the fiber. So what is expected is this diameter of your mode that is traveling should be inside the core dimensions, and if it goes beyond, we have to see that or that's an indicator that the energy may no more be focused in the core and the mode may get lost because it is going into the cladding, or we need to have certain configurations to control it. Now coming to another concept that is important for when the modes are traveling through fiber is, one is called as a phase velocity and the other is group velocity. Now what is a phase velocity? It is the individual velocity of each mode traveling through the fiber. So what is the velocity of any mode traveling through the fiber? That day we calculated V is equivalent to C by N. Correct? That's a velocity of each mode. Now, let's take an example of you are driving a car on a highway. How will you define your velocity? You'll define the velocity as per your speedometer that you see, that will be defining the velocity at which you are moving on a highway. Now take a case when you have a traffic on a highway and somebody asks you, what is your velocity? How will you define your velocity? How will you define your velocity? Tell me. You are moving on a highway. You have a capacity of say 80 kilometers per hour, and definitely there is a traffic, so you'll be moving slower. So at that time, what is your velocity? It's the velocity of that traffic, that group that is there on the highway, and that is defining your velocity irrespective of your capability that with which you can travel on the highway. correct? So that velocity, when it's a group that is deciding your velocity through the medium that you are traveling, that is through the highway, it is the traffic that is deciding what is your velocity. We call it as a group velocity, and that is given as, so your phase velocity, it is omega, that is 2 pi f by lambda beta, the another definition. And the group velocity, as you see, it's the rate of change of your omega with respect to your propagation constant. Okay, the phase velocity is omega by b, and the group velocity is the rate of change of omega with respect to your beta. Now your next task is to find out the value of this Vp and Vg in terms of the known parameters. Okay. So can you tell me what do you know about omega? Omega का formula क्या है? Omega is 2 pi f. Right? And what is your beta? Yeah. Yeah, correct. 2 pi f हो गया. अभी बताइए, what is your beta? It is 2 pi n by lambda. करेक्ट, ये हमने किया था उस दिन. It's beta naught is 2 pi by lambda. When you are moving through a medium with a refractive index n, it is 2 pi n by lambda, right? That day I found out beta 1 and beta 2 corresponding to the core and the cladding. So that is what, right? Now just solve this. F is equivalent to c by lambda, correct? F is equivalent to c by lambda. Right, f lambda by n. What is f lambda, Kirti? What is f lambda? You know the value of f lambda? Yes, correct. F lambda is c. So when you solve it, this comes out to be c by n, which I have already written. Correct? Okay. Now let us find out for this d omega by d del omega by del beta. So your omega is 2 pi f, your beta is 2 pi n by lambda. Okay, so I can write again. Let me take a new slide. Okay. Now we are trying to find out for the group velocity. I am talking about del. We are trying to find out del omega by del beta. Okay, now what is your omega? Omega is equivalent to 2 pi c by lambda, correct? Okay, and your beta is equivalent to 2 pi n by lambda. Okay. Now, what is the partial derivation of this? In this, what is varying parameter? C cannot vary. It's a velocity of the light that is constant. So it is, what will be your del omega by del lambda? I'm just trying to write this in terms of, that is V group velocity is equivalent to del omega. I'll just use by del lambda into del lambda by del beta. Okay, this is how I'll be trying to solve it, right? Can I write it del omega by del beta like this? Just multiplying and dividing by del lambda to get the two terms, del omega by del lambda and del lambda by del beta. Correct? So now tell me what is your del omega by del lambda. Can anyone tell me the partial differentiation of this? क्या होता है ये? Yes. Minus 2 pi c by lambda square. Perfect. It is minus 2 pi. Because see, everything is constant. It's only the lambda that is varying. So it is lambda square. Now tell me, what will be del beta? Sorry. It's not equal to. Now tell me, what is del beta by del lambda? Tell me what it is. Now tell me what all parameters with respect to which your or will vary with the wavelength, right? One parameter is this lambda, which will vary with the change in the wavelength. And the other is your refractive index of a profile, basically the way the material characteristics, we can say that, will change with the change in the wavelength. Right, so there are two parameters, n and lambda, that will vary, that will have an impact or variation with the change in the wavelength. Okay, so here it was only 1 by lambda, it is now n as well as lambda, both are varying. So can you write this equation? So it will be first term taking this n and taking lambda constant, you differentiate with respect to the n. Second time taking n constant and differentiating it with respect to the lambda, the way you used to do for your normal. बताइए क्या होगा ये? It will be 2 pi by lambda. The first term will be, when I am assuming the lambda is constant, it is del n by del lambda. Correct? And the second term will be, when I assume my n is constant, it is minus 2 pi n by lambda square. Okay? So this can be written as taking out common 2 pi by lambda square common, or basically minus, what do I get is n minus del n by del lambda. Okay? Yes? Or I can just keep it positive, making it negative, and this is positive. Okay? I'm just not taking out the minus sign common. Yes? Is it correct? नहीं, minus sign है ना ऊपर. I'll just, no, I'm just trying, I'm just correcting it. I'll keep minus sign because there's a minus sign already there. So that will help me. I'm just keeping it like this. This is a minus sign. Taking minus sign common. This term n minus del n by del lambda, we call it as effective refractive index under the varying wavelength condition. N effective, which is equivalent to N minus del N by del lambda. Okay. Now, can you tell me in terms of these parameters that we have or the equations that we have, can you tell me the equation of your group velocity? Ma'am, the first term does not contain lambda. Yeah. Correct. I made a mistake. This is a lambda square that I have taken. It has to be having a lambda. Perfect. मैंने lambda square denominator में लिया है. Correct. I hope now it's correct. Yeah, Krusha? Yeah. Okay. So that's my mistake. It's n lambda minus del n by del lambda because I'm taking lambda square common. So I'll just write it here lambda by lambda square. So that is how the यहाँ पे lambda आएगा lambda. अब ठीक है? Yeah, that's what's my mistake. Now it's correct. Okay, so just we find out what will be the value of your beta, VG. Okay. So first is we need to form a preform, which is a solid rod, which is a very thick rod, not in comparison with your optical fibers, which are say of 500 micrometer total diameter, but it is a solid rod with the required refractive index, the core and the cladding material that are being used, that is to be formed. Okay, so how do you change the refractive index of the material? Definitely your starting material is a pure glass, the fused glass, and then you add the dopants depending upon what refractive index do you want, whether you are adding titanium oxide, aluminum oxide, germanium oxide, phosphorus oxide, or a boron oxide, or a fluorine, right? Fluorine glass fiber, as I talked about. So that is to be added to the core to give it the required refractive index that you want for a core as well as for the cladding. Okay, so these impurities are introduced into your pure glass material to give it the right refractive index as per the refractive index profile that you want for designing a particular fiber. So basic pre-preparation you can see, say is done here. The purity has to be maintained because any kind of impurity present is a center of attenuation or the loss. So we have defined certain characteristics of a fiber before starting with the fiber fabrication, that it should be transparent. It should be giving you the characteristics which do not change with the changing wavelength traveling through it. And it should also be giving you it should be also giving you what was the third point which we had, right? Refractive index profile and also low transmission losses, correct? So low transmission losses will definitely be depend upon the purity of the material that you are using or any kind of external, because what is happening is these fibers are fabricated in a furnace and there are chances that during the fabrication process, which is at a very high temperature, there could be some air gaps or bubbles coming into it. They become the point of loss centers. As well as the furnace, there are a lot of metals that are there definitely as a part of a furnace, and since you could see these processes taking place at a very high temperature around 1900 degrees centigrade, so there are chances of these metal impurities also getting inserted into the fiber during the process of fabrication. So they become again the point of high signal absorption or attenuation of a signal, or causing a kind of a scattering or dispersion, because these impurities may interfere with the path of when the light travels through the material. Okay, yes, is it clear? So depending upon which environment you want to use, so these impurities are introduced into. Is it clear? Yes or no? So what is the chemical process that majorly that will be using to make a fiber is silicon chloride. That's a base material, or germanium chloride, the glass material. The chlorides are the glass material or the base material that can be used. This is the one which is the most prominently used. It is silicon SiCl4 plus O2 gives you SiO2, the glass, and this is released as a gas, and similar thing happens. So this is the basic equation, that is the chemical reaction that will be taking place. So first thing is you need to take the very pure material, the purified material. Yeah, oxidation, correct. It's an oxidation process. So in this process, what is happening is you are able to get the pure silica glass, and the impurities if present, or whatever is expected to be released, and therefore the starting material has to be very pure material. So if we compromise on the quality of material at the point of starting, that is a say, a point of introduction of the impurities into the material. I think we'll start with this in the next class. I'll just quickly revise what we have done today, because it's 11:50. Yeah, I started today's lecture with the cutoff wavelength, which we calculated and did one numerical. We understood that the cutoff wavelength which we get for the limiting wave V number, that is the number of modes traveling through it, helps us to get the lowest wavelength. All the wavelengths above it can be used for transmission. The below cannot be used for the same V number that, or the modes that we are expecting to travel. So I took an example of a single mode fiber where all the V numbers less than equal to 2.405 will help a single mode transmission. So lambda corresponding to 2.405, all the wavelengths beyond this cutoff wavelength can be used for single mode transmission. The next thing that we did was we understood the concept of mode field diameter. The mode field diameter is nothing but the amount of spread of the energy associated with the mode when it is traveling through the core of a fiber. The expectation is all the energy associated with it should be inside the core. That's called a mode field diameter. And if that mode field diameter is larger than the dimensions of the fiber, that is, it is exceeding into the cladding, that is talking about the energy getting lost, and that evanescent field is to be avoided and is to be reduced. Okay, so that is how we need to design that all the energies are inside the core whenever a mode is traveling through it. The next thing is we understood the concept of phase velocity and the group velocity, and even did the derivation for the phase and the group velocity. The phase velocity corresponds to the individual signal velocity, which is nothing but c by n. And when it comes to the group velocity, that is when multiple modes are traveling through the fiber, there are chances that these modes may try to change the characteristics of a material. And in this case, it may be that it may be affecting the velocity of the each mode traveling through it. And there could be an interference when multiple modes are traveling, and that may result in a new refractive index called as group refractive index, or the effective refractive index, that will be there when multiple modes are traveling through it. So in that case, the group velocity is given by C by ng, where ng is equivalent to n minus lambda del n by del lambda. So this is what we have seen. And then we also saw that how are the cables made. The cables are just a standardized configuration with respect to what are the colors being used for the cables, whether it's a single mode, multi-mode, what is the configuration in which they can be placed, so that the configuration, looking at the configuration itself, it can be easily understood what is the application of these particular cable inside your fiber, and that will help us to do a better designing of our network when we are laying down our network. Then we started with the fiber fabrication. So first thing is, what is a material that we are looking at? A material which has got transparent properties, whose properties do not change with the material, and that which has got a low attenuation. And basically it's able to carry the information to a longer distance without need of the more repeaters that is in your system. Okay, so the material that can be used is the glass, definitely, which has got the characteristics, best characteristics, because the attenuation is very low. Halide glasses are also used for making the fibers, that is fluoride glasses. Then rare earth glasses, they are doped with a certain extrinsic impurities that are simply used when you are using the fibers as an amplifiers. The other impurities, they are added for various applications. And we also have plastic fibers where the attenuation is very high but can be used for a short distance. It's low cost, easy to handle, because it's not glass, it's plastic. Where always the starting material is forming a very pure preform rod, that's a silica glass with the right material. So it will definitely have a core region and then a cladding, and the dimensions definitely are very large. It's a solid silica glass rod which will be further exposed to a high heat in a furnace, where through the gravity effect these dimensions are changed, and with the continuous monitoring, after the dimensions are attained, you start rolling your fiber to get the fiber spools. Now when you are making the fiber or refractive index profile of the fiber, these are the materials that can be added to change its refractive index during the fiber fabrication process. So depending upon the material, the refractive index changes, whether you're making a core or a cladding, that accordingly you can add these impurities. And and the equation, that is the basic equation that is used when the fiber fabrication is taking place, is an oxidation process, where the chloride, pure silica glass is taken, and fused glass is taken, and at a very high temperature this reaction takes place, resulting in the formation of a pure glass and release of the impurities. So we'll be starting with this. So quickly we'll cover this fiber fabrication and then come to the transmission losses.